For more analysis now on today's Fed decision, we turn to Mohamed El-Erian, CEO of PIMCO. So, Mohamed, did the Fed do the right thing today?
The Fed surprised a lot of people because they had every reason to do something. The domestic economy is slowing, the global economy is slowing, inflation is coming down, and Europe is fragile. But they didn't. So we would suggest three reasons that went into that decision not to act. First, there was concern about the effectiveness of what they can do. If you like, the benefits are coming down and the costs and the risks are going up. Second, I think they want to keep their powder dry. They're worried about the fiscal cliff and they're worried about Europe. And third, they don't want to take pressure off Congress. So they didn't act today, but we would agree that most likely they will act in September, and you will probably get a signal in August during the Jackson Hole speech of Chairman Bernanke.
As you know, so many people think that even if the Fed does act, it's going to have a minor effect on the economy. But then you wonder, is it going to be worse if the Fed does nothing? Where do you come on that discussion?
And that is the big dilemma. We are in a lose-lose world in the sense that the Fed on its own cannot deliver outcomes, economic outcomes. It can influence the markets, but it cannot deliver economic outcomes because it doesn't have the right policy tools. But if it does nothing at all, things may get worse. And that's why I think we're going to continue to muddle along with the Fed trying to do whatever it can, but we will have, unfortunately, the same discussion, Susie, you and I, in a few months' time, because unless the other government entities react, the Fed will not be able to deliver on outcomes.
Let's turn to what's going on in Europe. You heard our report. Investors are hoping for something big out of Europe when central bankers meet to talk about the European situation. Now, you just came back from Europe. You've been talking to some of the policymakers there. What's your sense? Are they going to do something big?
My sense is that the market may have gotten ahead of reality on the ground. The markets got very excited when President Draghi of the European Central Bank said on Thursday they would do whatever that's needed, and believe me, it's going to work. So the markets took off on that. The problem is that the ECB cannot deliver the other entities, and in particular, there's a lot of political tensions. So I worry a little bit that we have priced in more action that's likely to materialize tomorrow out of the ECB.
All right, so we have two big events yet for investors this week. We've got that ECB, European Central Bank meeting that you just talked about. We also have the jobs report that's coming out on Friday. Which is more important for U.S. investors and the markets?
I think, ironically, Europe is more important right now. That doesn't mean that the Friday numbers aren't important. They are, because they're going to also signal the underlying strength of our economy. But Europe today is playing a massive role. Just look at what has happened in markets on Thursday and Friday based on a statement of a European policymaker. So Europe more important, but keep an eye on the employment numbers because they are also full of information.
What are you expecting? How strong or how weak is that number going to be? And what kind of market reaction are you expecting on Friday?
We're going to look at the composition of the number as much as the headline number. So everybody focuses on how many jobs were created and what was the unemployment rate. That's important, but much more important is the problem of long-term unemployment getting worse? Is the problem of youth unemployment getting worse? Because these two things become structurally embedded in the economy. And I worry that Friday's report will say, unfortunately, these two issues are getting worse.
All right. Not the kind of thing investors want to hear. Thank you so much, Mohamed. Great having you on the program as always. Mohamed El-Erian, CEO of PIMCO.